with how to play against the Sicilian Dragon in the Yugoslav Attack. And the first game I'm going to show is actually a pretty old game from 1958, Fischer versus Larson. And this is a really nice game. It's not, I wouldn't say this is anything close to the main line, but it does show you a useful sideline, and it shows you a lot of attacking ideas that you're going to use in the Yugoslav Attack. And it's just a classic game, so I wanted to show it. And I'll get to the starting point. So the starting point of the Sicilian defense, and I already did a video series on the move A6 and how to play against the Najdorf and Savinigan, and how to use the Sozin attack in these type of move orders. And I wanted to do this because the Dragon is actually just as popular as the Najdorf these days, and it's actually more popular now than it even was when Bobby Fischer was playing, like in the time of this game. And you'll see different move orders here. Actually, you'll have to be aware of move orders where black doesn't play d6 early, like the accelerated dragon or the hyper accelerated dragon. And maybe I'll do a different video on that on those, but in this series I just wanted to focus on Yugoslav Attack, and and you'll see many different move orders here. Even black can delay castling if he wants and just play knight c6 first, but this move order pretty much equates to the same thing. And queen d2, knight c6 here, bishop c4. This is the way we want to play. This is the best way to play the Yugoslav Attack. But castling is also a move that's played, kind of the older way to play the Yugoslav. Bishop c4 is good because it stops the move d5 and stops black from getting his ideal pawn break in. Now in this game, Larson actually took on d4, but the main move in this position is bishop d7, which would lead to a mainline Soltis variation, which we'll cover in another video. This move, knight takes d4, is also played a lot, but yeah, it's more of a sideline. Fischer took on d4, and Larson played bishop e6, which seems to be a pretty logical follow-up. He wants to trade off his opponent's active bishop. Fischer played bishop b3, and Larson played queen a5, which also makes sense. So Fischer just castled on the queen side, and now b5 comes. All right, so b5, normally in the dragon variation, since black is attacking on the queen side, you'll see the a pawn and the b pawn being pushed in combination with the rooks. One of the rooks goes on the c file, and normally the bishop is either on d7 or e6, just to give you a general layout of the schematic that dragon players tend to use. Now, b5 was played in the game, but let's investigate bishop takes b3, and c takes. We would take with the c pawn here clearly, and yeah, we get damaged pawns, but we still have attacking chances on the king side. The king can tug its way to b1, and we should be absolutely fine here. So b5 was played in the game here. And now sorry, I went too far. Okay, so after b5 here, king b1 was played. So kind of a waning move here, just to make sure his king was safe. b4 was played by Larson, and now knight d5 by Fischer. Bishop takes d5 was played by Larson, and I want to look at what happens after knight takes d5 here. We would just exchange bishops here and then take the knight. Now on bishop d7, rook de1 is a very good looking move, and this is a nice bind. So, and that was from Fischer's notes. And so bishop d5 was played in the game. Fischer took back with the bishop, although taking with the pawn was also possible. Rook a to c1 was played, or rook a to c8 was played. But knight takes d5 should also be investigated. After e takes d5, queen takes d5. This bishop exchange would eventually lead to a draw. What's better, maybe, or more practical, I should say, is queen takes b4. And you can see bishop's still defended here. And if the rook ever comes here, the queen can come back to d2 and just guard this bishop. So that seems fine. And so rook c8 was played in the game. Bishop b3, rook c7, and now Fischer just goes h4. Queen b5 was played by Larson, but let's look at h5, because normally, when you're playing online and you go h4, it's very likely that your opponent plays h5. Actually, h5 is sort of the textbook way that black meets h4 from white in these Yugoslav attack positions. So Fischer goes g4, which is best, and that's very instructive when they go h5. We're normally playing for g4, maybe not immediately, but at some point. H takes g4, now h5. So really trying to open things up here. G takes h5, f takes g4, knight takes e4, attacks the queen. Queen e3, knight f6 here. But I think it's worth looking at bishop takes d4 instead. Queen takes e4, bishop g7, for example. Rook takes h5. This is totally winning, you can see. But after knight f6, g takes h5, e5 here, h6. So really nice attack here. And so after knight f6 here, h takes g4, rook dg1, e5, bishop e3, rook d8, bishop h6. And we can already see white is totally succeeding here. Black is sort of in a catch-22 situation where he can't exchange these bishops because white will get too much, and he can't let white exchange the bishops like this because, again, white gets too much on this h file. So just wanted to mention those. But so let's go back to the main variation here after h4 and queen b5 here, h5, rook fc8. This is what happened in the game. But Fischer took on g6 and Larson took on g6. g4 was played. This is all pretty normal of what you would expect. Pretty normal in terms of the plan. And a5 was played. So like I said, the A and B pawns are sort of the go-to, pushing the A and B pawns is like the go-to strategy for black. That's usually what his counterplay is going to be based around. G5. You always have to look for the counterattacking move, the counterattacking move on the opposite wing, especially in this opening. Knight H5. And whenever you see a knight go to H5 in this type of structure, you should always be looking for this rook sacrifice, because it just opens up the position even more. And now a move like G6 is kind of devastating. You already start to feel uncomfortable if you're on the black side of this position. E5, so sort of a lashing out move, counterattacking the bishop. But G takes F7 comes with check. And after King F8, Bishop E3, and D5 here. I think it's worth looking at what if A4 was played here. Just because that would be, something that Larson should have been considering. Queen takes D6 check. Rook E7. And Queen D8 check. And amazingly, this is a nice checkmate, because his bishop is still hanging here and defending this pawn. Really nice variation. And that was also from Fischer's book. What else here? Well, the rook would have to block. But another really amazing good move here, because it's a deflection, deflecting the queen away and letting this rook mate. So that's pretty nice side variation there. But okay, so D5 was definitely probably the best try. As we saw, the A4 doesn't work, because before black would ever have a chance to take that bishop, he would get checkmated. So D5 was good, but E takes D5 here, rook takes F7 was played in the game. But I want to look at A4 here, because we always have to look, if black just blindly tries to attack us on this side of the board, what happens? Well, D6 again. You don't always have to move the piece. In that case, there was nowhere to move it. But before you look at a retreating move, you always want to look at a counterattacking move in general. And A takes B3, D takes C7 here. And you can already see this is getting really dangerous. We have all these threats on the back rank, among other things. So rook takes F7, D6 was played. And now rook F6 was played in the game. Fischer played bishop G5. And now queen B7 by Larson. Let's look at queen D7 just to look at another sideline here. Queen D5 could be played, so creating threats here. Queen F7 here, blocking. Then we just go bishop takes F6. They lose material. So what about if rook F7 instead? Then just bishop E7 wins. So that's nice. And so going back to the main variation here, after queen F7, and we see bishop takes, but queen B7 here. Fischer took. So just like the other line where you exchange the bishop here. Now D7, rook D8, and now queen D6 check. And Larson resigned, but in his book, Fischer mentioned that queen D6 was actually a mistake, even though it looks like a pretty decent move. Queen H6 is actually better, and it forces a mate in 3. After king E7, queen h7, king g7, and queen takes on g7 mate. So a really nice checkmate there.